They say time buries the past. But sometimes it drags it back out into the sunlight, bruised, bitter, and wearing a $3,000 suit. Cashin Vale stepped out of his obsidian coupe, the engine's low perf fading into the hum of a tired suburban parking lot. He adjusted the cufflinks of his tailored jacket, the glint of his platinum watch catching the afternoon light like a silent siren. Power didn't speak. It shimmered till he was halfway to the storefront when he stopped there, 20 feet ahead, a man hunched over a line of runaway shopping carts. His uniform was faded, sleeves rolled, sweat dripping down his neck as he wrangled metal and rust. The orange vest, the calloused hands, the quiet desperation in his posture. Cashin squinted, and then the corners of his mouth twitched upward. Well, look who fate dragged out from behind the curtain. The man froze. Slowly, he turned. Recognition dawned like a storm cloud. Cashin, Damon said, his voice dry, careful. Didn't think I'd run into you of all people. Cashin said smoothly, walking closer. Not here. Not like this. He glanced down at the carts, then back at Damon with raised eyebrows. Interesting career pivot. Damon didn't bite. He wiped his hands on his vest and stood up straighter. What do you want? Cashin's grin widened. Same Damon, always direct. I'm just catching up, reminiscing. You used to talk about changing the world, remember? You had this whole plan, leave the firm, take the high road, blaze your own trail. His tone turned cold. And here you are, pushing steel in a parking lot. Damon's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Cashin leaned in, voice dropping. You told me I'd regret staying, that I'd choke on my own greed. But look at me. He spread his arms wide, polished shoes gleaming under the sun. I'm doing just fine. You're still the same arrogant bastard, Damon muttered. Cashin laughed. You think that's an insult? Damon, it's a strategy, one that works. He paused, then added with faux sympathy, I should offer you a job. We've got openings in maintenance, floor mopping, maybe valet. Before Damon could respond, a firm voice cut through the heat. Is he bothering you? Lyra, the assistant store manager, approached, arms folded, eyes like stone. Cashin turned with a fluid, amused expression. No trouble. Just a walk down memory lane. She didn't move. This lane's closed. Cashin chuckled, pulling out a crisp $100 bill and offering it to Damon like a patron tossing crumbs to a beggar. A tip, or maybe a thank you, for showing me what I avoided. Damon didn't move, but Lyra stepped between them. He doesn't need your money. Cashin's face darkened briefly before snapping back into his mask of charm. Suit yourself. He turned, strolling toward his car. Damon, he called over his shoulder. If you ever decide you're done pretending integrity pays, you know where to find me. Then he vanished in a roar of horsepower and arrogance. Damon stood silent. The lot was noisy again, carts, cars, conversations, but inside him was a dead calm. And a flicker of something else. Not rage, resolve. Later, as dusk bled into the sky, Damon returned to his task. The wind was picking up, tugging at loose carts and whipping dust along the pavement. Just as he rounded the final row, a gust shoved a cart loose. It rolled fast, metal rattling toward a familiar black coupe near the lot's edge. Damon sprinted, boots pounded. Arms reached at a split second too late. Clang. The cart hit the bumper. Really, Damon? Came the voice. Cashin was back, arms crossed, a twisted smile tugging at his lips. You can't even manage the one thing they're paying you for? Damon turned, chest heaving. It was the wind. Cashin shook his head, mock disappointed. Excuses. Always excuses. I don't need this, Damon muttered, starting to walk away, but Cashin wasn't done. You know, he said louder now, I was going to be generous today. Thought I'd offer you a real job again. Not cart pushing. Something real. Damon stopped. If it's anything like the last one, he said without turning, I'd rather go hungry. Cashin laughed. You always were a drama queen. What we did wasn't that bad. Creative accounting. A few shortcuts. That's how the world works. No, Damon said. That's how you work. And I walked away from it. Cashin stepped forward, sneering. And for what? This uniform? That paycheck? Come on. Was it worth it? Damon turned to face him fully. His voice was calm, now almost quiet. Ask me again in 5 years. Cashin stopped. He studied Damon for a moment, his expression darkening as if trying to find some weakness, some crack to exploit. But Damon didn't budge. He met Cashin's gaze steadily. You're a fool, Cashin muttered under his breath, before turning on his heel and walking away. Damon didn't respond. He simply watched Cashin go, his chest tight, but his resolve strengthening with each passing second. The sound of his footsteps fading, replaced by the hum of the parking lot, marked the moment when Damon's mind shifted. Cashin's mockery, his attempts to pull Damon back into his corrupt world, only fueled the fire within him. It wasn't just about a job or an opportunity anymore. It was about something more fundamental. It was about proving to himself, to everyone, that he could walk a different path, a path of integrity, and that path would lead to his own success. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Damon resumed his task, pushing the remaining carts into their rightful places. But his mind was already elsewhere, his future now defined not by the past or the mockery of a man like Cashin Vale, but by his own strength and determination. And for the first time in years, Damon felt certain of one thing: he had made the right choice. No matter how difficult the road ahead might be. Cashin Vale leaned back in his plush office chair, the faint hum of the city below blending with the rhythmic tapping of his fingers on the desk. His eyes glinted with satisfaction as he glanced at the report before him. The numbers, the profits, they were all moving in his direction. Life was good, at least for him. But then there was Damon. Cashin's lips curled into a smirk as his mind drifted to their past, to the shady deals they once made side by side. They had been unstoppable, a perfect pair, until Damon got soft, as Cashin saw it. Damon had always been the idealistic one, but Cashin? He'd always understood the importance of power, of control. Damon had turned his back on that, opting for a simple life in some humble corner of the world, leaving Cashin to dominate the scene. Some of us change, Cashin muttered under his breath, and some of us stay true to what we are. His phone buzzed, interrupting his thoughts. It was a message from Lyra. She had been working with Damon for some time now, a sharp, perceptive woman who had no patience for Cashin's games. She was fiercely protective of Damon, even though he had no idea of her growing suspicions about Cashin's real motives. Damon's not buying your act, Cashin. He sees through you. And I do too, Cashin chuckled, the sound devoid of warmth. Lyra's protectiveness was just another obstacle in his pursuit of power. But he wasn't worried. She didn't understand the world the way he did. The phone buzzed again. Lyra had sent another message. If you're trying to manipulate him again, it won't work. He swiped the message away and stood, walking over to the massive windows that overlooked the city. His empire. His rules. He could already feel the walls closing in around Damon. The man was too soft to survive in the world Cashin had built, and now he was too proud to admit it. But there was something deeper lurking beneath Cashin's steely exterior, something he never let anyone see. He had never once allowed himself to trust another person. Even Damon, despite their history, had always been a tool to an end. Now, with Damon out of the picture, Cashin ruled with an iron fist. Meanwhile, Damon was in his small apartment, his fingers trembling as he stared at the bill in front of him. It was one of many: rent, utilities, food, everything piling up like a mountain he couldn't climb. He had left the past behind, but it had a way of clawing back into his life, no matter how hard he tried to escape it. He hadn't wanted to fight Cashin again. He hadn't wanted to go back to that world, but here he was, alone, struggling. The soft knock on his door broke his thoughts, and he stood his legs stiff. When he opened it, Lyra was standing there, her expression serious. "I told you not to go back to him, Damon," she said, stepping inside without waiting for permission. "I didn't go back to him," Damon replied, though the words felt hollow in his mouth. He had, in fact, been forced back into Cashin's web without realizing it. Lyra crossed her arms, clearly unimpressed. "Then why the hell are you still under his radar? He's using you, and you know it." Damon's fists clenched. He hated this. He hated the helplessness. But Lyra was right. Cashin was relentless, a master at manipulation, and it didn't matter how hard Damon fought. He always felt like a pawn in Cashin's game. "I don't want to be part of his world anymore," Damon said quietly. "But I can't just leave it all behind." Lyra softened for a moment, her voice gentler. "I get it, Damon. But you have to realize something. You're not weak. You're just trapped in his shadow. But you're not alone in this. I'm not going to let him destroy you again." Damon felt the stirrings of something inside him, something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. For the first time in a while, he wondered if it was possible to escape Cashin's reach. But even that seemed too impossible. Lyra's gaze softened as she placed a hand on his shoulder. You've been through too much to let him win now. And you've got me on your side. Let me help." Back in Cashin's office, he was staring at his phone, the glow of the screen reflecting in his eyes. He knew that Damon was slipping. Damon had always been too good for this world. It was only a matter of time before he'd break, and Cashin would be there to pick up the pieces. He smiled to himself. Lyra wasn't the only one with tricks up her sleeve. Cashin had his own plans. He had already set the wheels in motion for Damon's downfall, and soon enough, Damon would find himself exactly where Cashin wanted him, back in the game. Whether he liked it or not, Cashin's smirk widened. Things were going according to plan. Lyra knew it would be a fight. Cashin had too much power, too much influence to go down without a struggle. But she also knew Damon wasn't the same man who had once walked that dangerous line with Cashin. He was stronger now. And with her by his side, he might just stand a chance. The story wasn't over yet. Not by a long shot.